Hi everyone, I'm Tanya Smith, the founder of A Widow's World community. I have the very special privilege today to share a woman with you who has very much touched and inspired me. We've connected on Instagram, and I find it just amazing that she lives in South Africa and I'm here in the United States. And so you can really see like the world has opened up so many possibilities. When I became a widow at 26, 10 years ago, I could not find anyone that I could identify with. It was just very hard at that point. Social media really hadn't started taking off. It was getting there, and so just that we can connect with so many women who know our hearts, know this road, women who even they feel lost because they don't have a title, because maybe they were engaged or they were just dating their partner. It's all of us. We've lost a significant love in our life. And so we need to embrace each other and start changing how grief is perceived throughout our cultures. And that process of grieving is always ongoing. And so this woman that is so amazing, she would like to keep her identity confidential, and I completely respect that for cultural reasons. You see, her husband died because he was affected with HIV, and I can't even imagine, what that felt like, and the worry and scare that brought on for her, and the waiting to find out if she and her son were also affected. It's just such an epidemic in South Africa, in Africa in general, and so in a few minutes I will share some statistics with you. But going back to keeping her information confidential, I just cannot do this woman justice by not giving her a name. And so I got out my Bible, and there are 187 women mentioned in the Bible by name. There are hundreds more that are just mentioned without name. And so as I was looking to see who would be the best to represent, the courage, the grace, the hardship, and their love and continued faith for God. And Anna in the Bible, she is a great representation of this amazing woman I'm going to share the story with you today. And so Anna was actually a widow too, and she was of Hebrew descent, and she her name in Hebrew means gracious and merciful, but she was also from the tribe of Asher. And I found it very interesting because in the Bible it speaks about the tribe of Asher and the people of that tribe being blessed. And so today we certainly will find out that Anna is blessed, and Anna is a great representation of my friend in Africa, because Anna and her son are not affected by this terrible disease and epidemic that is so prevalent and killing so many over in Africa. And it just tears me up to know that God had his hand of protection upon her. Her values were to always keep up on her health, and thankfully when she became pregnant with her son, her and her husband were both tested, and they were both negative at that time. And so during that pregnancy, she knew there was infidelity and cheating taking place. And she knew that she needed to protect herself, because she says in her message that I'll start reading to you that she was not willing to die for that love, for that relationship, knowing there was infidelity. And so it was very hard for her when she found out this is the disease that her husband was affected with. Not only knowing that the man she loved was what he was facing, what she was also facing, because it could not be shared. It could not be brought up in their community, for after he died, they would be shunned or treated poorly, and people would not believe that her and her son were negative. So just the road that she has been on has been a very tough one, but I'm going to share some statistics with you. So the most current estimate suggests that there are 5.7 million South Africans living with HIV representing about 12% of the population, or nearly 1 in 8 citizens. Moreover, HIV rate among adults is about 18% today, so roughly 1 in 5 people are affected. 45% of all deaths in the country can be attributed to HIV. 13% of South African blacks are infected with HIV versus 0.3% of South African whites. Currently, it's estimated that there are 600,000 orphan children as a result of AIDS. So we know becoming a widow, is such a hard journey, but then having to deal with society and the pressures that it brings upon us, and the things that come after, it's so difficult. And so let me go into what she writes to share with us. She says, "Hi, Tanya. I follow you on Instagram. Your posts are so inspiring and your energy is just amazing. Thank you. I feel stronger and motivated after reading your post. I wish to meet you one of these days, dear. And I also wish to meet you. And there are some things that I am working on that may allow that to happen. So here goes Anna's story. I am 31 years old and I was widowed at 29. I have a handsome young boy who just turned 6. He is the light of my life. Every time I look at him, I get the strength to go on. I had a terrible experience when I was widowed. My husband died because of HIV-related illnesses. When we discovered his status, he refused to tell his family because of religious reasons. He knew his family wouldn't accept him, and he decided to keep quiet. My son and I are both negative. My in-laws couldn't understand how I could be negative and their relative positive. It was a tough time for me, and African culture looks down upon women. My voice could not be heard. Discordant couples is not possible according to them. And so a discordant couple is one where one partner is tested negative for HIV and the other is positive. And so in this culture, it's believed that that cannot happen. And so how blessed and how amazing that God protected Anna through this terrible nightmare that she was facing. I was accused of all things, including killing their relative. They went to his workplace and tried to get his benefits without my knowledge. They tried every trick in the book to get me down and almost succeeded. I got to the lowest point in my life where I just wanted to die. I know so many of us have felt those feelings. They're very real. When you lose somebody that you love and you just can't even imagine ever being able to move past it. And so I always tell people, don't expect to move past your grief, but move through it. Move through your grief in your own time and on your own terms. And that is what Anna, as we're referring to her, has done. everything that we go through after the loss of a spouse, it's just our whole world is shaken. And then some of the things that happen after, it's almost like we hit an even lower low, an even deeper rock bottom than we could have ever imagined before we start to come back up for air. And before we start to realize that we're worthy, that we deserve to live a full and happy life, that the pressures of society and people and the things that people put in place on us do not serve us. And so we have to start really in each of our cultures, start owning our voices, start owning our feelings, start owning how we are processing our grief. I feel like we need to be the awareness and show people what grieving really is, because we are not taught anything in society about grief. We see so many books and so many things about, here's a manual for grief. Here are the stages of grief. Here is this, here is that. Grief is personal to each one of us. Your story is personal to you, and even though Anna and I may be able to relate, and the many others who are in this community, we each have our own unique stories, and one is not more significant or each of our stories is without comparison because it's personal. And so that is very much what the grief process is too. It's personal to you. And so when I say you are not going to move past it, you won't, and you shouldn't, but you can move through it. And you don't have to stay in a certain place for fear of, moving forward, and like you're not going to be remembering your husband or your spouse. They're always going to be there. They're going to be within the places and the spaces of your heart forever. And people need to know that, and people need to understand around us that that is something we want. It's something that's going to be there. It's something we're not going to let go. But we're going to move forward through it, and slowly, one day at a time, we're going to take that step. But it's in our own time. And it can't be somebody telling you, okay, you need to do this. We can nudge each other. We can give each other, encouragement. We can say, hey, I understand you are going through this tough time, and I want to be a friend and help you through it. We can support each other, but ultimately it has to come down to ourselves and our want to have a better life, to see that we deserve it, to know that we don't have to stay sad all the time, that it's always going to be there, and it's going to pop up and knock us in the faces from time to time. But ultimately, I think it opens our eyes to seeing life the way that I think many do not see it. Life is not about material things. Life is not about status. Life is about living, serving other people, about being in the moments. And I know we can all take that for granted sometimes, but it's about sharing our hearts, helping other causes, helping other people, and helping open people's minds up to, it's more than the car you drive, it's more than the money you have, it's more than this, it's more than that. We have to start being real, and I think focus is taken off of that so much, and everything is very material nowadays. And so even Anna going through, she can't share who she really is and what really happened to her. She can share her heart, but she has to be cautious. She has to guard that for her protection and her son's protection. And so my hope is that we bring awareness throughout all of our cultures, that because of our circumstances, because of our belief sets, because of our religions, because of this, because of that, we should always be able to share who we are without fear of what will come next. People need to stop judging others. We need to start opening our hearts, and that is the change that's going to make this world a much better place. And so I got a little off tangent there, but I'm very proud of Anna because she was at that place where she just wanted to die. And she had to get to that low spot to see everything that she was worthy of, everything that she could have in her life. And that was her son. Her son is her inspiration, herself, being happy, seeing her strength within her, because she is one of the strongest women. There are many of you. There are so many strong, unbelievable, amazing women who have been widowed and who have continued to go through hardship after hardship, turmoil. When you feel like you've hit rock bottom, how can you hit even lower than that? But you know what? It happens. It happens. It's happened to me. There's so many things I haven't shared with our community of what I and my family have gone through. And so those are some things that I'm going to be opening up about, because life is hard. It's very hard, but it's how we handle it with grace, and it's how we move through those things, and how we share our stories that helps other people to get through circumstances that they might be going through, that helps them see that there is a light. And even if things get worse, God is always with us. He has never left us, but we have to believe and we have to ask for him to show up in our lives, and we have to be open to what he has ahead and following him. And so getting back to where she said she wanted to die, in the end she was hospitalized due to high blood pressure. And in the middle of the night, one night, she woke up and she said, "This is not who I am. I am a strong African woman who can weather any storm and face anything." And she is, because she's doing it. I thank God for the amazing network of friends, relatives I have, because I managed to dust myself up and move forward. I have since cut his family out of my life. I told myself I don't want any negative energy and vibes. I'm moving from strength to strength and achieving my goals. I'm raising my son, and seeing him just brings the joy to my heart. I am somehow grateful for how I was treated, and this is the part I love, because going through it, you just can't even see how someday you're going to wake up and feel grateful. But what we've been through has conditioned us to get to a stronger place so that we can help others. So because of the way she was treated, she has become a whole new person. She has realized how she does not want to live her life. She says she laughs more, she loves more, she's more patient, resilient, independent. And I just think that for so many of us, the blinders have been lifted. We see things much differently than others. And so, you aren't going to get to a place overnight where you feel okay. It's just not going to happen. You're going to go through a lot of turmoil. But what you can do is just know in your mind and believe in it for yourself is that there is a hope, and there is a light that will start shining through. But you have to want that, and you have to, sometimes hit those even lower lows before you get there. But my hope for all of you is that you give yourself the grace and the time and you stop beating yourself up for things that are beyond your control. That you stop listening to voices in your head of others' chirpings, and that you truly just begin to start listening to what's within you and what you can have, because we deserve that. And 10 years into this journey, I still have some very hard times. Of course, we're always going to. But what I do see is how I can stop and look back and see how all of those difficult roads led me to the place I am now, led me to the person I am, to the person I want to be, to the person I'm going to be. And we have to stop limiting ourselves, and we have to stop listening to others and why things might not get to a certain point and why we might not achieve a certain level. Like, go out there. We know life's so short. Go out there, push the limits. What do you have to lose? We have nothing to lose. Share your stories. Tell people. Sometimes I tell it to people and they're shocked. They can't believe how I would still have a smile on my face. But through it all, I have always kept that John would have wanted me to live life and to breathe in the breaths that I've been given and to help others. And so that's my heart. And so I'm very thankful to share Anna's story. She says God has been her protector, and I truly believe that. And I'm just so beyond thankful that she is blessed, and she's creating a life that she wants to live, and she's wanting to reach out to other women in the United States, in Africa. Unfortunately, she can't be her voice yet, but it is my hope that we can change and we can broaden, and open our minds culturally, that one day she will be able to stand up and say, this happened to me, and she will not fear for what could come against her. So today I would just encourage you. I know it's hard to get up, to move sometimes, to even take those steps, but take one small step, even if it's just getting in the shower and getting ready. Sometimes we know that is huge. So stop being hard on yourself and just start thinking positively. Start thinking about what this next afterglow is going to be for you, and start believing in yourself. And I want to be here. I want to support so many of you because I know, I didn't necessarily have that. I had that in my family and my amazing friends, but for me, I was on the search and the hunt for others who knew my heart. And I feel like unless you've gone through a similar loss of a spouse, or we can relate, but to other people, and they can offer comfort in so many different ways. But it's nice to have a community of women who can support and lift one another up. And so let's just shout out to Anna, our friend in Africa, who is amazing, inspiring, courageous. She is a devoted mother, a pillar that is going to make changes in her culture and community, and I believe it, and I'm excited to watch some of that unfold. But most of all, thank you for reaching out to me and letting me be the voice for your story. All right, well, follow us on follow the community on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. I have a YouTube channel I'm going to be doing more with. And we really just want to leave on the note that, thank you, Anna, for sharing with all of us.